the saddest movie released.
I mean,
We're talking about the Iron Claw.
Topical.
Very topical.
you know.
Movie starring Zac Efron, Jeremy Allen White, about the real life story of the Von Erich family. The wrestling family, the Von Erichs, Texas wrestling family, the Von Erichs.
Hey, you guys remember
Legends.
We're talking about the Iron Claw now, right? It's a movie that
Isn't that a game?
In 2023, I saw the trailer for this movie. I'm like, oh, it's a wrestling movie. It's going to be good. It's a Von Erichs. I know a little bit about the Von Erichs, but that made me kind of go into to look at the story. One of the saddest stories
Yep.
that you'd find about, in any family, like a family that has lived through so much loss.
A lot of tragedy, a lot of mental health issues.
How do you put that in a movie?
Mm.
Well, they did. And it's an extremely sad movie.
Relax. Are you crying already?
No, I had something in my eye. There's even with like a happy ending, kind of, it's still everything about the movie is sad.
When I watched it, I didn't get a happy ending.
The movie itself, the Iron Claw, it follows the Von Erich family, right, and all the tragedies that happened to them. They didn't talk about every tragedy. Remember, they left out
They left out a brother.
They left out a whole brother because it's still every single one. The movie has to deal with like the Von Erich curse and how their dad also. Right, how their dad also treated them and treated them.
Hey, the mom wasn't that great either.
And the mom also too
portrayed in the movie.
In the movie. It's really like the dad wanted them to be like big wrestlers, famous wrestlers, and money. But
he didn't do it.
No, because it's something he couldn't accomplish.
I mean, it was a trash character that they gave him from the beginning. Fritz Von Erich.
Yeah, he was not at all German.
No, he was a Nazi with a Southern twang.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was a stupid character. You're not gonna get famous like that.
Nowadays, it's the same thing now.
But I am gonna say the guy who portrayed the dad in the movie did a really good job. But this movie is carried by surprisingly Zac Efron. Zac Efron does a great job in this movie. Right, the relationship that he has with his brothers in the movie, the relationship he has with Lily James,
doesn't he seem like he's about to cry and knows everything? Like as he talks, I think that the new jaw makes it sound like he's about to cry about everything.
The jaw makes sense.
Point, though. Oh, the jaw. No, but I think that's the point. The point is that he's suffering, and he's been told from the beginning that men don't cry.
Yeah.
It looks like he wants to, but he's just holding it back.
What's to say about me? I cry all the time.
You're a bitch.
You're a bitch.
Well,
I'm like the Hulk.
You're a bitch.
I'm always crying.
What?
No, but see this. Like, there's just so much tragedy in this movie. This movie it's just a whole ball of tragedy. Everything that happens, anything that can happen bad happens to this family. And that's like what. And again, this is all stuff that happened in real life. They didn't bring up. I'm glad they didn't show the 5-year-old, like the oldest brother, the way he passed away. Yeah. They left out another brother, right? That also is no longer
one of the youngest ones too.
The youngest one, Chris.
But this movie really, it is a wrestling movie. It's a movie about like a wrestling family, but it's really about the family. It's about brothers. There's wrestling in it.
I do just want to say that the choreography wasn't that great
for the wrestling.
Yeah, it looked bad.
Did you watch 80s wrestling?
That's kind of what 80s wrestling was like.
80s was kind of, I mean, compared to it now. Well, don't get me wrong. Now there's
no. I remember 80s wrestling. Yeah, I remember the Von Erichs.
Yeah, but it also.
I didn't know the story. I remember the Von Erichs, but that's what I'm saying. It didn't look real.
If you remember the Von Erichs, did you even realize that Kerry Von Erich only had one leg? You would have never realized it. Watching his wrestling matches in real life, like you would have never noticed that he only was running on one foot. but this movie does.
Well,
this
I
movie
didn't know any of the story
does a good
about
job.
trying to get into the in the Olympics.
Yeah.
That I didn't know that one either until like later on in life. I was like, oh wow, cool. But yeah, when I started hearing
last year when you watch this movie,
no, I
later on in life last year.
no, I've actually knew a lot of like how a lot of these guys died, and there was like this talk about the curse and curse and curse, and then because they all at some point they're all like just dying. I was like, damn. Then all of a sudden, Carrie stopped being on TV and stopped. Then he died like not long after. I was like, oh crap.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like I
there's
knew
this
about
family.
this stuff.
Yeah, this family is just like it was just marred with tragedy. Everything about them.
There's certain things like diagnoses that a lot of people like they talk about how like when the first one when he went to Japan didn't come back, didn't wake up,
the ruptured intestine.
Yeah, they're just like, hey, there's talk about might be other stuff there going on too, but they didn't focus on that too much. But that was actually the catalyst to them as older guys.
They kind of allude to it though in the movie when he's injecting himself and stuff like that. So
yeah, I mean,
it's a tough thing to go through, and then actually put that all into. There's a lot more stuff that could have been put in the movie that would have probably made the whole movie a bigger tragedy.
Yeah,
where you
more sadness on top of sadness. Really, that's all this movie is.
Because even David, the first brother the second brother that passed, he had a daughter that passed away. So there's more. There's
a lot more. There's a lot
of stuff that happened.
That's why people talk about it being that family being cursed, and
that's why they have that. But the movie again, like I said earlier, it's this is a movie about the bond, right? The bond of brothers, and because really, it's not really the family bond. It's like Kevin has in the movie he says, I want to buy a ranch where all my brothers can come live, so they can all live together. It's the bond that he has with his brothers. And it's a movie about the bond between brothers, and it has wrestling in the background, right? As wrestling, it shows how much Fritz puts pressure on them to want to win the championship, to do all this other stuff, and all of them have inner demons that they have to deal with, especially Carrie at a certain point after losing his leg, and then
even before he was already
having the disappointment of not going into the Olympics and then having to come back and then go and then do the wrestling, which he wanted to do.
It looked like he was already struggling with substance abuse.
Oh yeah.
There's definitely, I'm telling you, they could have added way more, but there was already
if you look at the real Carrie Von Erich and then Jeremy Allen White, they both kind of had like similar looks. I mean,
no, Carrie Von Erich was tall.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I'm saying similar looks. I said looks. I didn't say
Yeah, stature. I think he's like 6'2", and what's his name? Jeremy is 5'7".
Yeah,
I mean, he's still taller than other people I know, but
yeah,
he's my height. Sure.
I
have 2 legs.
No. See, but
now
so does Jeremy.
Not if I can help it.
But I think that. I think the strength of this movie is really how Zac Efron conveys the fact that it's eating him up inside, that his brothers are dropping like flies, and there's definitely something wrong, and there's nothing he could do about it. That's the problem. There's nothing he could have done to prevent it. Like really, it was going to take.
No, he tried to save. He tried to save Carrie.
He tried in the movie, like they said that he tried to save Carrie. He did try to help the dad. He tried calling the dad to help him, but the dad said, "You guys need to take care. Yeah, you were supposed to take care of each other. Like it's not my job anymore.
This is your brother. Bitch is your son."
No, but still, it's like I think the movie is carried by Zac Efron's performance, and this was one of those movies that I thought he did deserve an Oscar nomination, and he didn't get one. Right? I thought this is his best performance. I think this is the best performance.
And the way he transformed his body.
So
yeah, he was.
He looked like the Thing without being made of rock. Okay, he just said.
But like he really has
up.
But Zac Efron really has upped his game, and then he didn't cry throughout the whole movie until the very end when he's watching his own sons play. And then they explain it. They show at the end that Kevin Von Erich ended up making a big family, and they all live together
in a
right
ranch
in Hawaii, in a ranch in Hawaii, on a ranch in Hawaii. And but he, like the character
seeing
didn't
them Howleys by all that land is crazy.
Didn't release like Kevin didn't release his emotions until the very, very end of the movie, right? When he's there with his sons and he's watching his sons play, and that whole thing where he says,
spoiler alert,
I used to be a brother, like that in itself, like he lost all of his brothers, right, to some sort of tragedy.
I mean, C. Thomas Howell said that in Soul Man.
This is true. And I think the direction
coming up next week.
Yes, we're definitely reviewing that.
Well, you know what this movie does? It has a very similar look to Darren Aronofsky's The Wrestler.
Isn't this an Aronofsky movie?
No, this is Sean Durkin. It's a different director. But they have the kind of same look that they could have been like the Wrestler universe and the Iron Claw could have been in the same like universe.
The wrestling looked more authentic in The Wrestler.
In The Wrestler, yeah. Well, that one was more. That was more like visceral wrestling. That had to do a lot more with wrestling.
This movie that was more has-been wrestling compared to active wrestling.
Yeah, this one has wrestling is in the background. It's not the wrestling isn't progressing the story.
I'm whereas Ram Jam right now, Ram Jam.
But I think the movie filmed, directed by Sean Durkin, looks very similar that it could be like part of the wrestler universe. But I think it was really well done. Like this is it was a different movie than I thought I was gonna get. I knew I was gonna get something about the Von Erich family when I originally saw it. But it's different than what I expected, and it was better than what I expected. It was sadder.
I expected more wrestling, but I was pleased with having better story.
Yeah, they focus more on story than wrestling. And that's the whole point. If you would have told this story using wrestling, this movie wouldn't have worked, and it would have felt dumb. This movie, you could tell that they took care on trying to explain, using wrestling as a tool versus using wrestling as the motivator for the story.
And they explain the business a little bit here and there, but not too much where it does exploit it too much.
Yeah,
it doesn't fully open up the curtains on the business and how the inner workings are, but it kind of does, show that they put in the work to put in all these things and that kind of background to it.
But like in regards to like pros and cons for the movie, I would say like the performances, right? Jeremy Allen White, Zac Efron, everyone who was in the movie, they did a great job telling the
mom
story.
From Liar Liar.
Yeah, like even her, like they all did a really good job.
Claw.
No one can stop the claw.
Oh, that's where the Iron Claw came. Like, there you go. That's why they brought her in. No, Lily James, even she was really like everyone for all the parts that they gave in the movie, even some of the wrestlers that came in and played. I will say though, the guy who did Ric Flair was a little over the top, and I didn't like that. That's the only thing. No, but the guy who played Ric Flair, it felt like he wasn't playing Ric Flair; it was doing an imitation of Ric Flair. Yeah. Like it just didn't sit right. It kind of made me laugh, but other than that, I think the movie is great. It's just a lot of tragedy. Like if you're gonna go into this movie thinking this is gonna be sunshine and rainbows, no, this movie.
That's depressing.
It just piles on. By the end of the movie, everything is piled onto you. Well, you have to. I think that's the way that they made the movie. Like that's why
that ending though.
Hold on. And that's why when Kevin releases like all of his emotion at the end, I think that's the time that the audience needed to release everything too, because they're just like piling it on. By that point,
it took me 5 minutes to release. I cried the moment when I cried a lot from a dick.
You.
I am gonna say I recommend watching this movie. It's on HBO Max now, right? It's already on.
Is that a different app?
It's on Max, okay. Right? It's on Max and it plays on HBO on the channel if you have cable. I recommend watching this movie. It's a well done movie. It is emotional. It is a raw movie just because it's you know, the subject matter it's dealing with and the acting in it. It's really well done.
That was a good story. Yeah.
Yeah, it tells it's a story that not a lot of people know. People might know, like us. We knew about the Von Erichs, but we didn't know their whole story. And this movie gives you an insight to, you know, what they had to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
And it does end like you were now saying, it does end on a kind of a happy note where,
I mean,
built his family and you know, kind of. I mean, they show that Kevin did grow his family and he got out of the you know feeling sad about his brothers, and you know, he children, grandchildren, great grandchildren, whatever, everything, right? That he brought all the family together, even the other side, the other part, his brother's kids, like even them, they brought them in. And I think that's where the movie ends on a nice note, even though it's like he dealt with and his family dealt with a lot of loss. He gained so much at the end, right? And he's still married to the same girl that he married, right? He built the family with.
Yeah, what's up with that? Most wrestlers have like at least 2-3 divorces.
Well, he's a different dude. You can tell.
I'm a different animal.
Yeah. Really well done. I think
George.
I think the story is a bit sad, but I think the acting is really well done.
If you're in the mood for a good drama, this is something to watch.
And and even if it won't even if you're not a wrestling fan, this is a good movie to watch, right? Because it's, again, the acting, the story, it's all well told.
Yeah.
On that note, the Iron Claw on Max. Watch it now. This has been Vinny.
This is Ozzy.
Bro. Nah.
We'll see you guys next time.
My Von Erichs.
Thank you.